as Nhlamulo, what is your general understanding of consent?
When we speak about consent, that is addressed in those messages. When we speak about the claim that I said no, I pushed you away, that is addressed in those messages because there's a response to that says you never said no, you never pushed away, you took off your own clothes, you took off your bra, the penetration was initiated by you, you inserted it yourself, and that is it, case closed.
So you believe, when there's nothing wrong that you did?
The enemies that I've got right now, kids would slow me down.
But do you still believe in finding love?
Look, I don't believe women are capable of love. Everything that a woman does is about self-preservation. I want to get involved in that space in the 2026 as an independent because I
was about to ask because you mentioned you don't want to associate yourself
with any other party.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're not on my level.
Welcome to another interesting episode of Sunday World Engage. My name is Mbalenhle Zuma, and today I have an interesting guest, controversial music executive. You mostly see him very active on Twitter. He's very opinionated. Welcome, Nota.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Great, thank you.
Okay. For someone out there, our viewers, our readers, someone who doesn't know who Nhlamulo is, apart from Nota, who are you?
Well, I'm a South African child. I'll put it that way. I'm sorry. A lot of people who watch these things, they say, why would he just grab his phone right at the beginning of the interview, right? And I forgot to prepare something that I wanted to share. I was actually featured on the second edition of the Sunday World when I was 8 years old, sometime in March 1999. So that was the second ever printed edition of the Sunday World when it started.
Yes.
So from that history, and even before that, I'd say I'm just a curious child, I'm 34 years old now. And my curiosities have led me into many things, especially in expression into the arts, through hip hop and various other music genres, have seen me travel a lot of the African continent and some other places in the rest of the world as well. As not only a music producer, a songwriter or composer, a music executive, and a dot connector, I guess. I'm very good at connecting dots. So that's who I am, for those that don't know.
Okay, so if I may ask, because I think at that time when you were 8, I think I was 4 or 5. What were you?
Are you that much younger than me?
What were you?
I was born in 1990 on the 20th of March.
Okay, yeah.
So it was right before my 9th birthday.
Okay, so what were you featured for in the Sunday World?
I'm trying to find it, but it was like the young minds, the young great minds, like little baby geniuses. These are the guys who are going to change South Africa's future. So it was me and another child from Morris Isaacson. I guess it was like a dichotomy of like young black South Africans and their future prospects, especially if you juxtapose those that are growing up in the township environment with those that are now, in Model C schools or in then Model C schools in suburbia. So that was about it, about, the difference between the two. This is a picture of me round about then. That's me, that's my little brother. Okay. But that's me at 9. you know, at Radford House, which is a school on Cornelis Street in Phelan's. And I was taken to that school because, you know, at the time they thought it was hyperactivity disorder, whatever the case may be. And so my mother knew that she's got a very curious son, and she didn't want me to be stifled by the school environment. So I left Sharon Lee after grade 1 and went to Radford House, which is a boutique private school. That's what I'd like to call it. And yeah, it was a school where we weren't so stringent in terms of like a curriculum to follow, where the kids were encouraged to learn at their own pace. And I really enjoyed that very much. I think my formative years were among some of the best. And because of where the school was, and obviously the cost of taking kids to school there, even though my parents could not afford, luckily the school gave my parents an indulgence to have me at the school, even though they couldn't afford the fees. I got to go to school with some very interesting people. You know, I got to go to school with one of Oliver Tambo's grandsons, Sasha Tambo. You know, I got to go to school with Robert Gumete's son. You know, a whole lot of other people, you know, some of the people that installed the first fiber optic cables in the country, you know, went to my school. My mother was at Eskom at the time when I started school. She was working at Megawatt Park as well. There were other Eskom executives whose children went to the same school as me. So I got exposed to a lot. You know, back in the day, in the 90s, you know, our parents that worked at Megawatt Park were able to bring their kids during school holidays. And we had we had fountain soda. So you know that machine that you got at McDonald's? Yeah, yes. We used to like mix Sprite with Fanta, with Coca-Cola in one cup, you know, do all sorts of crazy stuff, you know, make chocolates. We had soccer fields right at the back of Megawatt Park. It was really a great holiday experience, the best ever. And we also had high-speed internet, you know, because the internet at Eskom Megawatt Park was faster than what was at the time commercially available to everybody else. So I guess that environment allowed me to be exposed to a lot of the world and to, I guess, indulge in my curiosity. Like I said, my mother always said that I was a very curious child from a young age. I don't know why it's taking me so long to find this thing. But yeah, I'll find it and I'll read it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Now we're here, 2024. You're 34 years old. How and why did we get here?
Well, I mean, it's a process. You know, I'm trying not to shake my legs. You know, people complain so much when they watch your videos on YouTube. Oh, he's so fidgety. Oh, he moves his legs too much. You can't even be natural anymore. Yeah, I guess it's just the process of the long course of my life. Like, I always knew that, you know, whatever I pursue in life will have, I guess, a ripple effect on the rest of society. And, you know, I've had the opportunity in my own small way to play a role in the engineering of South African society as it is today. You know, even though the first love and the main competency is music, you know, music has got far-reaching effects. If you even think about the constituting of our democracy, I mean, the first political action globally affecting the lives, I mean, well, from the rest of the globe, affecting the lives of South Africans came after, you know, Itumeleng Bokaba was able to address the United Nations General Assembly, and from there, the process started to condemn the apartheid system initially, and eventually to declare apartheid as a crime against humanity, and then the dismantling of the apartheid government in the early 90s, and all of that had music playing a significant role in all of it, whether it just be from uplifting the spirits of people and helping them throughout the struggle, or informing them about our social conditions and alerting them to the fact that we share the same community that we live in. And in a song, you can listen to someone else telling your life experience through their own words, and that relatability connects us as human beings. We feel more human because we feel like whatever it is that we're going through, others are also experiencing it in a similar way, I guess, even though our responses and our reactions to that may be different. So yeah, from there I knew that, okay, from a business perspective, it was very difficult to gatekeep our artistic expression, especially with the advent of the internet. So just in the same way as if you had torrents or whatever, you have high-speed internet back in the day, you could make money by selling movies, DVDs, and stuff like that. Even though it was illegal, it wasn't like a drug or something like that. It wasn't destructive to the people that you're selling it to, though it robbed the industry. So that opened up the possibility of one day finding means in which you could bypass the gatekeeping and enter into an industry where you could make money directly through the consumer. So the direct-to-consumer business for me was something that made me feel like there was a future in music. Even though the prospects at the time were very small, I knew that as technology advances and more people get access to technology, there's going to be an easier way to distribute whatever products that we're getting out there, or to deliver the content directly to the consumers that we're targeting. And that would mean that the potential and the growth in that industry would mean that there's significant enough revenue to be made that we could sustain our own independent businesses without being outscaled by the big corporations. So yeah, that's what got me into the space. And then it became very quickly apparent to me that there's also going to be some level of political involvement. So for one of the first, I guess, projects that I did when I was still working as an intern at Bing, is that we were doing a lot of campaign work for the ANC during the 2009 Zuma presidential campaign. And in the KZN, that whole entire process was being run by Zweli Mkhize's daughter, Noblinda Mkhize. So she was running a lot of the events and stuff, and so we toured the whole of the KZN province and other places as part of the Zuma campaign. We went to a whole lot of ANC events as well, and I got to see how just being in the music industry gave me access. I could be a 19-year-old fresh out of high school in the same room as President Zuma, President Mbeki, in the same space. And I think the penny finally dropped that I don't need to shift into any other space to continue having an influence in how the politics of South Africa are constituted at the passing of Dad Nelson Mandela. We were in Durban for a Metro FM event, and I remember being pulled to the side by Stone of Boomshaka. And then he informed me and my colleagues that I was with at the time that Utata had passed away, and that we don't want to alarm people, so we must just continue with our performance, and then only after the performance is it going to be announced to everyone that's there, and then that's also at the time that it's going to be announced to all the newscasters. So I got to see the construction of a news narrative from that scale. And I guess it was probably one of the biggest media events politically in our history, post 1994, the actual passing of Utata. You would know the funeral had many guest delegations from all over the world. And seeing how that whole thing came together and how I found myself bearing witness to how it gets put together, I realized that, if I stay in this space as my business, as my influence grows, I'll still be able to play an important role in constructing the future political dynamic of this country. Okay. And yeah, so that's what's put me here in this position that I'm in right now.
Okay. And then I know you've been to a whole lot of podcasts recently. So I'm
always going to podcasts. Yes, it's not a recent thing.
Well, for your recent dilemma, okay.
I'm going to podcasts weekly, very often. I've got a backlog of requests.
Okay. So let's focus on what you're recently dealing with. How did you get there? Like, how did you find yourself in that situation?
It's a situation that a lot of men go through, especially in South Africa. So we've got a very unequal country, and if you rise to any form of prominence, you need to be careful that you don't become a target of people feeling like you are standing in the doorway to their opportunities, So that's basically how I found myself in such a situation. Someone observed me and was able to target me, and then was able to put together a plot or a plan to besmirch my name and basically corrupt the image that people have of me in the public. Yeah, so, it's not something I have not prepared myself for. I think the best preparation that I was able to do was that I was very determined not to ever align myself with any organizations or anything. I'm an individual, I represent myself as an individual, and also to never pretend or pander. So, if let's say I was a pastor or someone, you know what I mean, and then they'd find something like this or an allegation that I'd committed some sort of heinous crime, people would be so shocked, you know what I mean, and so scared. But I'm not, so people don't expect me to behave like a saint, number one. And then number two, as well, people know so much about my character that they're able to very quickly dismiss anything that they feel like is uncharacteristic, because they've seen how consistent I've been over the years, that, I've become a publicly known figure, a big, if you're covered by the newspapers, I guess you become a public figure immediately. Back in the day, that's what you needed to submit to Instagram and Twitter to show them that you deserve to have a blue tick. So I've been covered in the media since I was 8 years old. So that's almost 26 years that I've been a public persona. So I knew what comes with the territory, And yeah, this is just one of those things that comes with the territory. Kobe Bryant went through it. Makai and Tini went through it. And I guess now the sphere of influence that I command has put me in a similar position to what they found themselves in.
And
I
then
think.
you
And I found that article, by the way.
And then you mentioned last week, before you handed yourself into the police, you mentioned, this is the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
Like, what was going on? Like, what was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, well, I was thinking it could only get better from here.
It could only get better being closed, like on a Friday. You handed yourself in on a Friday, which meant you had to spend, the whole weekend.
It didn't mean that. Okay, people assume that, you have to follow processes of the law at your own convenience. Mm-hmm. It wasn't. I was advised by my lawyers that the best way for me to get bail is to hand in my statement as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. You understand? And not leave it up to, next week when they decide, have we followed up on this case? Let's actually go and apprehend him. You know what I mean? I don't want my neighbor's kids to see me being taken off in a van again. You know what I mean? It was already traumatic enough the first time. So, I didn't have a choice. I was like, because of the type of, or the seriousness of the nature of the offense that's being alleged, there's no other way other than to be put in a cell and get bail. You know what I mean? It's not like I could go to the police station and then they could just apply bail. So there was no way of avoiding that, I understand a lot of people get arrested for drinking and driving or trespassing, or those are small little things. So they think, what a dumb guy. He went on a Friday. I had no choice. And I spent an entire weekend with 11 other men in a cell at the Randburg police station. And yeah, that was quite an experience. But I'm glad that my family visited a lot to make it as comfortable as possible. Yeah.
Okay, I can't imagine.
You can't imagine?
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's I don't drink, so I don't get arrested for drinking and driving or anything like that. So I always imagine that if ever I find myself in a cell, I should be able to get out quickly. Yeah, so this is the first time I had to be I'm going to sleep in here. So it was difficult, but I made the best of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then what is your general understanding as Nhlamulo? What is your general understanding of consent?
Okay. Consent is when someone gives you permission. Yeah, okay. I've got a very good understanding of consent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you feel whatever happened.
If someone says no, it means no.
Yes.
Yes.
So there was.
If someone says stop, it means stop. Yes.
So you believe, when there's nothing wrong that you did?
Well, you see, so what's in the public domain, right, is WhatsApp texts. And WhatsApp texts that I haven't fully given context to, right? Because when you read someone else's text, you don't know what the context of the conversation is. What you're seeing there when someone is saying, I said no and all that stuff, is stuff that did not happen, is a complete setup.
And that you were set up, like you saying you were sober, you don't drink, so it's not
Emini.
Yeah.
Emini. You understand what I'm saying? Emini. And a setup that is done when you're asleep. It's just like you. I send you a message, I check if you come online or whatever, if you see it. And then I delete. I check again, I delete. I check again, okay, I know. Then I write a whole barrage of messages. And then when you wake up in the morning, you get a whole barrage. People never assess, what is the type of mental condition of someone who sends 5 or 6 messages without a response. If I have a conversation with you, I'm having a conversation, I'll send one message. Even if it takes you up until tomorrow to respond, I won't send like 5 other messages afterwards. Because if you're not getting my messages and I need you urgently, what must I do?
Make a phone call.
It's common sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? Also, if you've got a message that's longer than 4 lines, like people saw all the messages, right? They ignore the part where early in the beginning I say, yo, if you've got a message, no, I've got a new rule. If you're going to send me messages, you're not supposed to send a message that's longer than 4 lines. I'm not reading it. Why? Because you're assaulting me. That is a form of assault. You're berating me, you're screaming at me with your text. You're making me have to read essays and stuff like that. Like, that's not what short message services was invented for. You know what I mean? At first, that thing was only 160 characters. So that is the issue there. And that actually reminds me, X actually should have 300 characters and not 280, because they shortened a short message service. It was a text messaging service, and it had 140 characters because the first 20 characters were reserved for someone's handle. So they just doubled the 140 without thinking that you don't need another 20 saved for the handle, so it should be 300. So with all those messages and the context and the way people read into them, right? For me, the media started contacting me as soon as I sent out that text, right? Because you guys know, okay? Now, for those who are watching, she'll confirm. You guys get information directly from the source, from the police. Even when you're coaching the police, you get it from the police spokesperson.
Yes.
By the time something is reported at a police station, it becomes a public matter. So I already knew that the media already knows about this. The media is asking me about a song or some splits or money from Samro. But I know that I just got called by the police and what they called me about. So I know that the media just asked me about this to see if I will give them comment on something. And so they can call me back again in time for their deadlines, which are, I guess, 11 a.m. on a Saturday if you're writing on a Sunday paper, or whatever the case, whatever your bosses decide is your deadline. So I already knew what was coming. So instead of me sending a comment to Mbalenhle Zuma, what I'll send is the WhatsApp text. What is your comment on this allegation? Now my WhatsApp text. You decide after reading the WhatsApp text whether the allegation is true or not, and whether not there's evidence that the allegation is refuted within those WhatsApp texts. Once it's out there, the media starts passing it around, the bloggers start passing it around, it's going to get out to the internet, people are going to pass it around, and then it's out there, And so that's how transparent I was. And with that, for me to submit those messages as evidence, right, to a magistrate to get the protection order that I got, because the next thing I sent them was the protection order that had been granted on the Friday, before the allegations even became public, right? I sent them the protection order to say this is what I've been granted a protection order against, because it goes to the nature of the extortion or the blackmail that I was alleging in the protection order that I filed for. And that goes into the nature of the charges that then proceeded. So with all of that circulating, I said, read for yourselves. Make your own minds up. These things, these WhatsApp texts that you're reading are the same WhatsApp texts that have been presented to a magistrate. And if they were falsified, when you send something to a magistrate, you send it under oath. If it's falsified, that's a perjury charge, right? So you must await the police to confirm that they've done everything. They've checked with Meta, they've verified, okay, there's nothing that's missing out of all those messages. They haven't been doctored or anything else. Yes, wait for that verification. But what you at least have is that whoever it is that submitted these is swearing under oath that they are valid. You understand? And there's a punishment if they are lying. You understand? So people took it into whatever context they wanted to. And you could say I allowed that. If I had something to hide, if I felt that I was guilty, if I felt that there's incriminating evidence, I wouldn't allow the public to have full access to it to make up their own minds, right? So that's exactly what that whole entire spiel is about. The main purpose is that when we speak about consent, that is addressed in those messages. When we speak about the claim that I said no, I pushed you away, that is addressed in those messages because there's a response to that says you never said no, you never pushed away, you took off your own clothes, you took off your bra, the penetration was initiated by you, you inserted it yourself, and that is it, case closed. If there's a question about consent, that is closed within those text messages unequivocally so. If they are valid, there should be no further case. All I'm saying is that I cannot verify that they're valid because I'm not Meta, right? The police have got the permission, are doing that, and let them do that. And then anyone that's making a judgment according to those messages that reads something else has got an obvious narrative and an agenda. I didn't watch what's this podcast and chill because I got released probably on bail at around 2 p.m. or 2:30, right? I didn't even know whether I was going to get my bail hearing or not. You know, I remember when I just got access to my phone when I was at the court. I was still underground with the rest of the other inmates, and I was talking to you, and I said, "Speak to my lawyer." You know what I mean? I don't know. He told me that he's working very hard to try get a magistrate to see me. And had he failed, I would have been sitting in Sun City until next Monday. You know what I mean? With the real thugs. So he succeeded. And then I watched the clips afterwards because people kept calling me like, yo, man, why are these guys like always on a hate campaign of you? Like these guys on Podcast and Chills, like always saying the worst things about you. And I watched them and it was like, okay, these guys had already decided or whatever. Saul Penduka, let's say, had already decided that this is the narrative that this is going to fit, right? And his own previous behavior when it comes to cases like this or allegations like this, alleged against different people, is there, it's on record. The inconsistency is glaring for everyone to see. They read into the messages, they read the messages that I was being set up with, which is what I was telling you is a setup. Never went into my responses that refute each and every single one of them on a platform that broadcasts to 500,000 people on average, maybe, per week. Knowing how big the platform is, celebrating, we are writing a book, we're doing a book tour, doing events around the country. You're not unaware of how big your platform is. Any other person, there's an allegation, hey, there's an allegation you stole money from such and such and such and such and such. Hey, let's call this person, let's find out if this allegation is true. Did they call me? No. Could they call me? Yes. Would they call me? No. Why? Because there's a narrative that's going to be painted. And for me, it's like, I've got two choices. It's either I sue Saul Penduka, right? Get money out of him once this case is concluded, because each and every single person that has, said that the allegations against me are true needs to be pursued, right? But not for money, no, for criminal injuria. Like as in you can get jail time. It's a criminal offense. Like you've had a consistent hate campaign, hate trail against me. If I say something you don't like, we have that one thing, cool. But now, if each and every single time Bali's name is mentioned, I'm just disparaging her, that is intent. I'm trying to remove your dignity. I'm trying to bring you down. We can have an altercation, a disagreement about something, but once that something is over, it's over. We're past that. I'm not now berating you each and every single opportunity I get, So that needs criminal consequences, and I don't want it to be misconstrued as in like, and now you're going to be pursuing people to get money out of them. No. I want them to face serious consequences, So with that as well, I've observed other people that have been in
similar situations.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is that you guys are ignoring everything that I'm saying. I'm saying I'm being blackmailed. Someone is blackmailing me saying, listen, we did something, right? And because in a court of law, I think that it would be your word against mine, I'm going to charge you with something, right? I'm going to go to the police station. And if you come to your senses when the police call you and say, a charge is open, and call me and negotiate your way out of this, right? I'll drop this. But you'll have to follow my orders from then on, because I can always bring it up. Or we can see how far the rabbit hole goes, and I open the case and I blow this whole entire good image that people have of you. That is detailed through the messages.
Okay.
It said, oh, I will speak about what a great person you are and all these types of things. You're seeing all these things. These are threats. You're seeing someone use the word blackmail. This is not blackmail when it actually is blackmail. That is the actual definition of blackmail. So you're seeing me being blackmailed, and you're seeing me saying, I trust my reputation enough. I trust what I've invested in creating my brand and my image enough that even such a heinous allegation will not destroy me, will not make people turn on me, will make people say, in fact, we know it's not true. You know what I mean? It'll be so bad that even if I post and I say, guys, there's a big allegation coming against me, but please, whoever's accusing me, don't attack them. I say that. Those are my words. People say, to hell with what you said. This thing is so offensive to us that they do something to you who, in our eyes, is someone that we love and cherish. We're going to punish whoever's doing this. That's not my instruction. That's just the consequences of that attempt, you know? And I guess for me, it's reassuring, for one. And number two, it's also, I guess, gives me a responsibility, you know, to deal with the situation so that it doesn't happen to anybody else. My case needs to be a deterrent from people who might have the intention to bring charges against someone just to besmirch their name. And that's why, you know, once the case is concluded and everything has been heard and there's a ruling, you know, we're going to pursue action. You know, there's already a clause, I think it's section 57B, dealing with this. But further action is going to be instituted because, you know, it could be your son, it could be your brother, and it is what it is, you know. And also, if you are innocent of something, why would you now feel the pressure or the need to be silent? You know what I mean?
I was actually about to ask, you've been so vocal about this, like you don't seem stressed about it, like why?
I mean, like, what other choice do I have? I'm vocal about everything. You know what I mean? It's like, when am I not vocal? It's like, now I must be quiet. No, I'm vocal about everything, and that's just the nature of my character. You know, it is. I'm vocal about injustices to others as I am about injustices to myself. And so this injustice is something that, you know, I'm tackling head on. And also, like, I refuse to be blackmailed.
You mentioned blackmail. What was she blackmailing you for? Like, I'm trying to understand.
Well, like, let's just say today was our engagement announcement.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you are now attached to one of the most prominent men in South Africa. Done. So any woman that comes to me, I understand that that's the first thing you're gonna get. You're gonna get the clout of being pictured next to me, or a girlfriend of the controversial figure, or whatever the case may be. So that is something that people want. They want clout. They want fame, especially people who've been on TV, who've been famous
but for
a young age.
I'm not famous. I'm not famous. Like, I'm just saying.
But in the instance that
she's also in the limelight, so I don't understand
well,
why she wanted.
post limelight, as in, like, the best days of her limelight are past her. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
As in, there was a higher point than where she is right now. Exactly. So, you know, that's what makes me a target. And the other target is like, yo, I've got knowledge of, you know, anything that I put into the media is out there. You know, because I didn't base anything on using the mainstream media. Like, online media, I'm a native to that. Before even the South African media had social media pages, I was already doing stuff on social media. And so I guess it makes me a hard target. A big target. Like I've got a target on my back. I walk around like I've got a target on my back. Not that I walk around like uncomfortable or anything else, but I know that, okay, fine, I can't just pop up anywhere. I can't hide myself, you know. So again, like that, it's like, okay, let's say I didn't go hand myself into the police. Who was gonna hide? Who was gonna hide me?
I don't know.
Like
You could have gone to the
I'm not the
Bundes
type
or
of person you can
somewhere.
hide.
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean? Like I visit my friends, you know, and while I'm visiting my friends, like let's say I visit for a couple of days, all of a sudden they've got so many more visitors. Like the day I get there, I know it's just me and my friends. Day two, whoa! Now there's a whole lot of visitors. You know, I'm an unhideable person. It makes one a target, and like women like that, they love attention. So like if they're next to you, they're getting attention, they're getting treated better, and yeah, so you know that's why one always needs to be careful. But you know sometimes you do let your guard down if someone has maybe had some level of fame or whatever. You think that ish, they know how to conduct
They know
themselves.
how it works.
Yeah, they know how it works, and that's actually true. They know how it works, so they know how to use it to destroy you. So you need to give yourself time to learn someone's intentions, do background checks, you know, call other people, you know,
Okay. So,
call your tunnel buddies.
so you went through a divorce, right? And
Yes, a quick one.
okay. I don't know if it was quick, but you
It's
went
3
through.
months, from the 18th of March to the 14th of June.
Oh, that was quick because divorces take years. Like
Who
years.
says? Is that a rule?
Like we always see, like it's always
Why?
messy. You know, I don't
Why?
know
Why
why
did
it
it
takes long. I've never been divorced.
Okay.
So you went through a divorce, and now I'm trying to understand. Were you guys in a situationship with this person
My
or a
divorce is on the
relationship?
14th of June. I met this person on the 25th of July.
Okay, and then you got into whatever. I'm gonna call it a situationship because I don't know if you
You
guys.
could call it a situationship, but
Yeah.
she said in her words that this will be fun. So it was fun.
But then I saw in some of the WhatsApp texts, she says she wants something like if I'm gonna be your girl or something like that.
And to which I say, no, I'm not doing that. I just got divorced.
Okay.
That's it.
But she wanted.
Yeah.
At first, she said this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Right. And then she wanted a relationship afterwards.
I said no. I
Then
said
why
no.
was she acting that way?
She
to
always,
say-
like, let's say you want a Ferrari. Just because you don't have enough money to have a Ferrari, does that mean you'll stop wanting it?
No.
Exactly. So I'm the Ferrari she wanted. You know, it's then just because she didn't have enough money to get the Ferrari doesn't mean she stopped wanting it. So that's what she wanted. But I told her that, yo, the price is too high. You'll never be able to afford it. I'm not on the market. I'm not for sale. And that's it.
Do you think when you got into that situationship and now, do you think you've healed from your past relationship?
A marriage is a lifelong commitment. You know, you don't just marry someone willy-nilly. You know, and so there'll never ever be healing from what I went through, because what I went through was, you know, committing to someone, thinking that we are on equal footing, as in like I'm committing to you fully, and they had, you know, one eye on the exit, as in at earliest convenience, if it feels like it's getting too hot, I'm just gonna leave you in a burning building. And being abandoned in a burning building is something you'll never heal from. You know, it makes it very difficult to trust yourself in such a situation where you give someone so much power over your life. Again, so yeah, there'll never be healing from that. But you know, I'll never stop giving people the benefit of the doubt. You know, yeah, but it has to be a special person.
Do you think, okay, not do you think, what do you think you could have done better, you know?
To save my marriage?
Yes.
Choose someone better. That's it.
But you chose, the minute you said I do to this person, it
Yeah.
must have meant this
You know,
person
I
is...
thought they could handle it. You know. It's very tough to be me because of my history. Like what I told you, let me actually read this article. It's in the Sunday World. You know, in Sunday World history, this article should be framed. This article, but they spelled my name wrong. Nhlamulo Baloyi of Randburg House. He may like pizzas and hamburgers, look like most kids his age, and even hero worship the likes of Puff Daddy and Leonardo DiCaprio. But Nhlamulo Baloyi, 8, is actually an exception. He's a gifted child with an extraordinary higher learning potential than most. He attends Randburg House, a school in Northcliffe that caters for children like him, those with special needs. I love the school here because each pupil gets so much more attention. But when I was at my other school, we had about 50 kids in one class. I was exaggerating. We had 35 in one class. I was exaggerating. But yeah, you know, I didn't know how the media quotes exactly what you say. Yeah, you know, I was 8. School here is a lot more fun compared to my other school, said Nhlamulo. He has very distinct ideas of what he would like to be when he's an adult. I used to want to be an artist, but I changed my mind, and now I want to be a mechanical engineer. I won't really miss drawing because this type of job involves drawing as well. I think we would have a greater, much bigger country if there were no wars so many years ago. We would have also been much more stable with hardly any crime. Nhlamulo's passion is space and technology, and he continued to rattle off about the latest high-speed fighters which were owned by the US. Like everybody else, though, he gets frustrated. I don't like it when I get treated like a baby. I can speak to anyone, even my 22-year-old sister, and have really long, serious conversations. Yeah, and she was studying electrical engineering. She's now one of the top engineers at Eskom Distribution right now. That's the sister that I was referring to then. So, because of who I was as a child, right, and how I started speaking very early, having very deep intellectual conversations. You know, I used to have debates with David Makura at this age. He's the head of policy for the ANC right now. You know, and an uncle of mine, we're family friends. So my mom's youngest brother and him are like best friends since before exile and stuff like that. So I always had, if let's say you're 8 years old, you're at the braai and you're having a debate with David Makura. He's in the ANC. I think he was Gauteng chairperson. At the time, or really high up in the Gauteng ANC, and we're having debates. I'm an 8-year-old, and I'm telling him all the things he's doing wrong. What. David Makura is saying to me, "Oh, well, when you're president one day, you'll change that. I'll leave it up to you to change when you're president one day. When you're president one day." And I say, "Yes, uncle, when I'm president one day, I'm going to do all these things that I see you are doing wrong." And then we make sure that we don't burn the meat and we eat and we braai. And then you grow up as a child. Those conversations don't just disappear when you're president one day, when you see that same uncle that was braaiing is now the premier of the province. Now he's the head of policy for the ruling party. He's part of the national executive, where you're going on a tour at 19, helping Zuma become president. And then next thing, you are in the same room shaking hands with Zuma when you're going to ANC conferences. And now you're having debates with Thabo Mbeki, and you're speaking to him about certain things that he doesn't even discuss with the journalists because they're not as exposed as I was as a child, and they're not aware of, you know, our recent or democratic history, you know, as intimately as I've been able to be, you know. Then you will get, you will understand that there are certain people who know what they're looking at when they see it. They know that when they see Nhlamulo Baloyi, they're listening to him on the podcast, they're hearing him, right? 99.9% of people can't even understand what I'm saying. That 0.1% that understand are the ones that I'm actually speaking to and I'm communicating with. Whether they've met me or not, they know that this man just said this thing, which this percentile of South Africans or people around the world know about. He just said it to someone who's got no idea what he's talking about. But me, now I'm watching, I know that, oh, damn, he's on code. He knows exactly what he's talking about. So that makes you a target. You know what I mean? There isn't a person who's not been a TV star, been on a TV show, radio show, or whatever, any of those things, as prominent as I've become in South Africa, ever. Strictly from the internet. From people knowing me from the internet, from me knowing how the internet works. Now, that is a challenge for certain people. Some people had to start in COSAS, then go into ANC Youth League, and then go into whatever, and then start other political parties for them to sit down, have press conferences, have people listen to them, have the whole entire country know what their political ideas are. I never had to do any of those things. I just had to share. And I built an audience and curated it over time. So I cannot be controlled by the thingamajig. Whether Sunday World writes about me or not, it doesn't matter. People are still going to know my story. You know, it's just inevitable. And that's something that I created that way, based off making sure that on the internet, I'm able to get direct to the consumer, direct to the customer. So that makes one a target. You know what I mean?
So you feel like she didn't have the patience to understand?
I don't think it's got anything to do with her. I just feel like if anyone were to go to, let's say someone ran, since you're wearing red, someone ran to EFF gender desk and had an allegation. That person would, if the allegation is against me, have all the resources and all the funding it would needed to take me down because I'm seen as a serious threat. When you look at all the players in South African politics, right, South African business and corporate and everything else, right, when you look at all the players, it's all based on popularity. Like everything is based on popularity. It's all about a popularity contest, right? And people have to be charismatic to be popular. For me, I'm not popular because I'm charismatic or I'm controversial. I'm popular because my ideas, right, are better than the other ideas that are being shared by everybody else with a platform as big as mine. That is it. Is that this guy, his mind is better than that guy's mind. His mind is better than this guy's mind. His mind is better than this guy's mind. These guys are in parliament. These guys are mayors. These guys are politicians. This guy is just a guy who makes songs. Why is he not in leadership? Because he chooses not to. Because it's a very dirty game. The politics is a very dirty game. There's no question in my mind that the attacks on me are very political, you know. But it's also a very risky game because you make me overcome such a challenge. There's only two things. It's either it destroys me, or it makes me bigger than I've ever been. Are you willing for me to be bigger than I've ever been through your efforts? Is that what you want to fund? Is that what you want to sponsor? If that's what you want to sponsor, bring it on. Like I said, I've been a formidable mind since I was a kid, and I've always known that. It's never been a question in my mind. I've been in a leadership position since the moment I started speaking. Didn't matter whether I was with my older cousins, whether I was in a classroom or anything else. At crash, I was the leader. When I was sitting in my prison cell, I was the one sleeping by the door. Those other 11 men, they've been arrested and everything else, I was their leader. When I went into the court cells when the Sun City boys tried to bully me, the 11 men that I was in there for the weekend with stood up and said, hey, leave that guy alone. I didn't have to greet, I didn't have to say anything. It's just the fact that I was raised a leader in every single position. I just naturally fit into that position. People look at me to say, give us a direction, Nhlamulo. Where are we going? That's why my name is Nhlamulo. I'm the one that they look to when they need answers, you know. So I need a Grasa Machel who's able to survive her husband being shot out of the sky and then marrying another president, you know. So my former wife showed those signs. She worked for the Grasa Machel Foundation. She spoke to Grasa Machel. I brought her around. Like the first person I introduced her to was David Makura, actually. You know, and say, your uncle, this might be our next first lady. Yeah, seriously. We were at the AKA Symphony launch, or the event at the Times Square Arena in Menlyn. So, you know, I thought that she had the potential. And that's what she said. She said, I want to be first lady. You know, that's when I decided that I actually could marry her. She said to me, I want to be first lady. And I said, oh, damn. Clearly, you're saying that if we're marrying, then you need to be the president for me to be first lady. So She always had that in mind, but it gets tough. The mental strength that you think you have is not the mental strength that you end up having when you're tested. Not everybody is able to face those tests, and yeah, she just buckled. It's just too much to handle for her. You need to be able to take being disliked. And when you're hearing people saying all these terrible things about your husband and everything else, and you are unable to discern between people that are just hating, trying to bring his name down, and people that have got genuine dislike for real reasons, it becomes really tough to handle. Some people just like, what, actually, I just want peace. I just want peace. This guy, people are going to be at war with him forever. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be there when they try to take him out.
Okay. And then do you think your online persona, Nota, on X, do you think based on that, people already have made up their minds that you're guilty of the things that you're accused of?
No. It's because of my online persona that they think I'm innocent. It's unequivocal. Like any of the people that are saying that, oh, this guy is guilty, are the same people that are tweeting that the same day. They've got 57 followers, 5 followers. They tweet about the EFF on other days, when they're paid. And clearly a check has come through to tweet about me, to post about me and try to destroy me. They're trying to Nhlamulo me. I'm not Nhlamulo, bro. I'm not Nhlamulo, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, they picked the wrong one. Like, this is a much more formidable opponent than anyone has ever faced. There isn't an enemy that I haven't completely destroyed, like obliterated, like since I was a kid, So even them, they're going to be completely obliterated. And I'm only 34, guys. Imagine you're targeting me with such big things. You're making me this prominent with such big things. You're putting me in courtrooms with such big things. At 34, Zuma was in his 60s when he was facing such challenges. He just put me in the union buildings already then. I mean, stop wasting time if that's what you're trying to do, because clearly, you're on code. You're part of the effort. So, yeah, I'm just glad that, I built a very solid reputation. Like, seriously. Like, look at the comments there on that podcast in Chill McG. People are not happy with their take. You know what I mean? People are not happy. Just look at the comments. Whenever there's a comment about it, people are not happy. I've got lots of supporters. I wouldn't call them fans. Like people that support the genuine efforts that I've got to, bring us closer to Ubuntu. We've lost a lot of Ubuntu. I forget how to pronounce her name, and Bali won't be able to help me because you come from that province that doesn't pronounce anything.
Oh, wow.
That only speaks one language. Professor Pakeng or whatever.
Pakeng.
Yes. Why is she Zulu? Pecking. Yeah. So, she even came around because she had blocked me. And then when she found out that, okay, what has happened to me, she's like, oh, let me troll him back. Dude, did I not, from telepathy, access my phone, which was locked in a safe, and respond?
I was so confused. Like, I was so confused. Why?
I let her have a whole day. I didn't respond for a day. I let her, and then the next day, I responded. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, she's 57 or 58 or whatever, 10 years younger than my mom. My mom's got a nice fit body. You know what I mean? My mom does yoga and Pilates 3 times a week. She's very stylish and everything else, But my mom is not going to dress in the clothes that are worn for thirst trapping. And we know what thirst trapping is. Let's stop being stupid. You know what I mean? You don't come to work in your gym clothes that are super tight unless you're trying to thirst trap somebody. Like, it's an intentional thing. So she is thirst trapping. You're a vice chancellor of a hotel. I mean, not of a hotel.
A university. Well, she's a former, yeah.
You understand? Now you look like you're one of the girls trying to trap a vice chancellor in a hotel. You know that's not a consistent look. And we're seeing how our young girls are over sexualized, especially the bodies of young black women. Unfortunately, our bodies are just, very well shaped. So it's very easy to sexualize them. That's why our girls get the most likes on Instagram. They're able to have followers as if they're Americans. They don't need BBLs and all that type of stuff. Yes, we're gifted with that. But now when we normalize it, when the older girls who are the ones who are saying, hey, reserve yourself, don't show the wrong signs, don't text men after 9 p.m. unless you are trying to get casual with them. Don't go to men's places as a grown woman. You're in your 30s, you're going to a grown man's place to do what? To play Scrabble. Not a chance.
You can.
Do you play Scrabble?
Yes.
Okay. We'll play. I'll win. So I haven't played in a long time, since I was a kid. But, you can't do that. Like, there's certain things that we need to now start calling out. Because we haven't called out so much that it's a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all. And there's people who are in prominent positions, who are in positions of leadership. They should be the ones that are saying, hey, we need to call this out, because last month or 2 months ago, they announced that in the first quarter of the year, there were 6,000 abortions in the Western Cape alone. Imagine 6,000 abortions. You know what I mean? If you go on a national rate, that's the abortion rate is higher than the murder rate. What that intrinsically means is that the most dangerous place in South Africa is the womb. That is the most deadly place in South Africa, where human life is most likely to die, is inside the womb. What type of country are we living in where that is a fact that we're just going on normally about? You know what I mean? It cannot be. What is the mind state of women? Because 100% of everyone having an abortion is a woman. What happens to their psyche when they're able to abort children thoughtlessly? As if it's,
But people have
fetus deletus is a colloquial term. Whatever the reason may be, how is it affecting your mind, your psyche, going on? What type of person are you? You understand? If you went to varsity, you know the girls that had multiple abortions. If you went to varsity. And we know how they turn out. We know the type of guys they end up dating. We know what happens with their life outcomes in most instances. In varsity, they give you monthly birth control tablets and everything else. A lot of varsities in South Africa. We know the girls that would be going in for the emergency contraceptives very often. And you're even told that after 3, you have to stop. It's going to affect you badly. So what worse? Emergency contraceptive is supposed to be working within the first, 72 hours. The first 72 hours or within 5 days at least. Now you're terminating after 6 weeks and all those things. So the child or the cells have developed even further, and now you're removing them. We know the process of abortions at a certain late stage. They crush the baby into small little pieces and pull them out. That is a life, a soul disappearing within your own body. You understand what I'm saying? You know how it feels when you drive past a car accident and you see the silver foil and you see a dead body and how that affects you. Now imagine how it affects you when the dead body is inside you and it's being pulled out piece by piece. It's not like seeing a motorbike accident where the body parts are, it's worse, it's happening inside you. It's going to affect you negatively. And we've normalized all these things.
What, can I just ask, why don't you have kids?
Why don't I have kids? Because I can't focus on kids and the work that I've got to do right now. And also I've got a condition. Like any woman that I have kids with, and this is like, a fight that I had with my former wife, I need to have full custody of my children from the get-go.
Okay, but if you're married, automatically
No, it's not automatic, because if the marriage can be divorced. I mean, you can get divorced. You can be married, the wife can go to court and get a divorce, whether you like it or not. That's the law in South Africa, unfortunately. So you need to have things that can prevent that.
Why do you want full custody?
Because I never want to have any woman blackmail me or try to take my kids away from me. Ever. I don't want it to even be a possibility.
Do you plan to have kids?
Yes. I want to have 6. I'm 34. I've got lots of time.
In this economy, you want to have 6 kids?
I mean, it's not a financial reason why I don't want to have kids. You understand?
But I'm
my
just saying,
kids will take 18 years to grow and then they start making money. Then I've got 6 money makers. And then what? In this economy, yes, I've got help. That's what kids are wealth. Kids are wealth. You understand? If my parents didn't have me, they wouldn't have what they have right now. You know, blessings and blessings and blessings. So it's good to have kids. Yeah, it's just that it's inconvenient right now. Just the way my life is planning out, the enemies that I've got right now, kids would slow me down.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you still believe in finding love and having kids?
Look, I don't believe women are capable of love. Like,
how?
I think that women were made by God to not be able to love. So women bond with their children because they spend 9 months in the womb with them. A man bonds with his children. He never spent any time in the womb with them. It's just that that's his legacy. That a simple idea that his genes are carried on through this child is enough for him. He doesn't need the child in his womb. Women in the past, without medical interventions of modern times, had many miscarriages, right? Those miscarriages did not destroy those women, right? Ectopic pregnancies. My mother experienced one before me. There's a 6-year gap between my sister and I. Those do not destroy those women. Why? Because they've had the love element removed from them. Women marry men that are powerful, that are violent and can protect them from violence. Not because they love them, because they're protected for security and all those things. Women don't go into relationships for love. That's never been the case. A woman looks for who is the best person that can make sure that my children will be safe, I will be safe. Everything that a woman does is about self-preservation first. You understand? Women don't go out to fight wars for king and country. Men do that. That's love. So I know I've got love. I put my life on the line to fight for others, people that I have not even met. So I'm perfectly capable of loving someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've had...
Hopefully I don't have to.
Why?
Because it's just so much of an investment. You know what I mean?
Okay, but you can't control the heart.
No, you can't control women. You don't own them.
Okay. Let's move. I don't want to get into a debate with you.
No, seriously, you can control the heart. If you water it, it'll grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had quite a successful career, right? Do you somehow think your personality has overshadowed your talent and craft in music?
No.
Why?
Because like my talent and craft in music, like I can't play an instrument to save my life. Right? I can't sing, even though I can come up with melodies and I can come up with words to songs and I can make arrangements and all those other things. So my talent is identifying people's best talents. Like I can just sit with a musician and figure out, oh, if they apply themselves with this, and then my other talent is communication. So I'm able to communicate what I'm seeing and help that person then, better whatever it is. So sort of like my talent is to be the shepherd, I guess. And my personality cannot overshadow that because unfortunately, the only reason my personality is criticized is because people are trying to compete against me. They're like, if we criticize his personality, we make people hate him and everything else, then he won't be able to do what he's able to do. And unfortunately, it does not work, despite their best efforts. And, I've got to commend them for trying so hard for so long. You know, I did my first podcast where I could say, okay, people then got to know me and my work and the work that I've done. The Fundi podcast with Joby, sometime in 2020 or 2019, maybe late 2019. And from there, you know, I did an interview for a podcast with Meg G and Siamo and Pindile. And then I did a follow-up one just by myself. From that interview that I did with Meg G, that follow-up one that I did with Meg G, every single interview in South Africa changed. Why? Because I didn't do it just because I was like, oh, okay, let me make myself prominent. No, I was like, yo, this is how you communicate. You get people to know you. You get people to understand your ideas, to, you know, your concepts. And then they resonate with that. And me, I'm someone who no one knows right now, currently. But as soon as this episode comes out, it's got the most engagements, most comments, you know what I mean? Most people modeling after it. And then after that, everybody else who went and did an interview is like, yo, I want to have a response like that, you know? And that is something that one can do to change the perceptions that one has on a person's personality. You just need to communicate better and help people relate with you, you know. I think that's the most important thing. And then, like, just be focused on doing your own thing. Like, you're not worried about your career being validated by other people. I'm not trying to get a job at such and such a corporation or whatever. Do you understand? And I've said this before, if they want me, it's because they know what I have to offer and they want that and they're willing to pay the big bucks. Otherwise, I'm an entity unto my own, you know, and I do what I want, when I want, how I want. And I've been like that since I was a kid. I guess people are too used to the normal public figure who has to kiss babies, have to pretend to be nice and everything else. I've never had to pretend to be nice. If I need to, you know, pull the middle finger, I'll pull the middle finger, I'll be real. But trust me, everywhere I walk, no one has anything bad to say to me. I've never met someone who says, I hate you or whatever. You know what I mean? Never. Everyone's nice to me everywhere. At this garage, this BP over here, they're nice to me. They're nice to me. At the engine up there, they're nice to me. You know, even at that Sasso, that one, that's Sasso.
Yeah,
under Marble.
Yeah, I see that one.
You know, it's just so funny that, you know, that restaurant, one of the guys at Petro SA used to love that restaurant all the time. And then all of a sudden when Caltex leaves, Sasol comes in. You know, the food at Marble must be really good. So I take pride in the brand that I've built for myself, and I'm just happy that, you know, I don't have to pretend, because there's a whole lot of people that have to pretend, that have to, you know, be nice, and then all of a sudden they're caught in an uncharacteristic moment, and it's like, hey, we never knew this guy was like this, or we never knew this guy was like that, you know. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah, but I'm going to work on appealing myself. I got something that, you know, I've been thinking about for the longest time. So I was like, okay, fine. I've done this thing in music. I've done my career. I'm dabbling in film right now, so I'm busy working on movies. It's just that writing a script is not as easy as writing a song, you know, or a screenplay. So I'm still learning that, but I'll be very good. I'll be Oscar Award winning very soon, at least within the next 10 years. So now I'm thinking to myself, damn, these political enemies that I've got, you know, are coming at me to destroy whatever I might decide to do next, right? And so I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine. He's like, you don't really need to get into the mud with these guys because you're not in the same game. Like, you've got nothing to gain, and they've got everything to gain by just bringing you down and, trying to create a hate campaign. So I'm really seriously now considering running for ward councillor of City of Joburg 115, which is my home ward. And that's like it's Kaya Sands, informal settlements. It's obviously Blobosrand, um, which is the neighborhood where I grew up, all the way up until Craigavon, the North Scott Reserve. Fourways High is within, like, the street, Kingfisher Street, that Fourways High is on. Everything on this side, on the Fourways High side, is part of that ward. Down through parts of Douglasdale, and then up Johannesburg North, just between the border between Johannesburg North and Olivedale. So that's a very big area, and a lot of people live there, various income groups as well. So from your informal settlements, the Kaya Sands informal settlements, to, your Fourways neighborhoods, middle class homes, and, as you get even further closer towards Douglasdale and everything else, that's the high income earning. So it's a very, very diverse group of people that live within that area. And it's been run by a DA ward councillor, who's got a matric just like me. I think he got his at Itumeleng though. But he's maybe in his 60s, a lot older than me. And I'm just finding that there's not really new ideas being brought about into the community. And I really want to do something for my city. You know what I mean? And I feel like we're watching it on the news every day. You guys cover it all the time. Unless you're a councillor or something within that ambit, you really don't have any influence. And even our prominent artists, imagine Makadzi. She has to be excited when Gayton McKenzie says, I'm going to buy 200 tickets to your show. Like, Makadzi is a superstar. A minister shouldn't be making an artist excited. I'm just saying, not saying anything about either of them, but I'm just saying, like, if you're on that level, it should be simple. You know what I mean? You don't hear Taylor Swift is excited that Senator so-and-so decided to get 200 tickets for a show. So we don't need that. So I want to get involved in that space in the 2026 as an independent, because
I was about to ask, because you mentioned you don't want to associate yourself
with any other party.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're not on my level. Like my character is far more unimpeachable than theirs. You know what I mean? And therefore, there's like a respect deficit. I don't have as much respect for any of our political leaders as I have for myself. So it would just make it very difficult to work under such a system. And I don't like taking instructions from others, so it takes a lot for me to be like, okay, fine, I'm falling into this organization, whatever they tell me to do, I must do. But that doesn't mean that I'm opposed to working with them, and collaborating with them. But I feel like the independent ticket is something that needs to be taken more seriously. And in our previous election, we had very weak independent candidates in terms of like their prominence and their political strategy as well. They haven't been at it for as long as I have. They haven't built up their independent names. You can't say, I'm an independent candidate, I used to work at BP as such. You are a BP. Your prominence is based on that corporation. You did not start British Petroleum. You understand? You did not get the oil out of Iran. You did not depose the Shah of Iran. That's what built BP to be what it is. You did not play a part in all of that. You handed in a CV, and then you got moved up the ranks. You were a cog in the wheel, and that's what gave you a prominence. So, like, people take it differently. Like a validation, because we're so deprived of economic opportunities, business opportunities as Black people in general. The only way you could be validated is by another institution. Mbale Zuma is prominent because she works at Fundudzi Media. Let's say you were Amakunya Gambali selling in the morning. That wouldn't give you any prominence, even if you were making more money selling Amakunya than you would by working at Fundudzi Media. Just think about it like that. So there's a warped sense of of validation for us. You need to be validated by especially white-owned institutions, white-controlled institutions. You could work for the biggest black company. You could be making trillions. And then someone who's working at a white company that's making billions is more prominent than you because the company that they work for is white. So we need to change our psyche on that, because I feel like that was the biggest challenge for a lot of the independent candidates. It's like you can't be independent because you were at a certain political party at a certain point in time. You never built up that party's constituency. So now when you leave the party and you're independent, you still need to build up a constituency. Me, on the other hand, I've built up my constituency and I've never used it to take it to the polls. I've used it for other things, So with that, in the 2026 elections that are running locally, putting together a campaign, putting together funders, sourcing funds to put together a formidable campaign just for my ward, where I know everybody knows me. It doesn't matter who they are, and they know that I would do the best for that ward because that's where I grew up. My parents have owned land there since 1991. You know what I mean? I want the best community for my parents to retire in, for me and my siblings to raise our kids in, and all that stuff. And those are the things that we should be looking for in the value that are non-negotiable that our leaders should have. Is that you've got certain loyalty to a certain community, we should stop parachuting leaders from wherever it is. This one grew up in Mpumalanga. All of a sudden, he's the mayor of wherever. This one is from KZN. All of a sudden, she's the mayor of Polokwane. Like, what do you know about Polokwane? And its future and where it comes from and what the aspirations of the people are from. And hopefully that will inspire a lot of young people. I mean, I saw Mfumo Minga. Dr. Minga and Mam Yvonne's son, he was running in a certain ward, I think in Bryanston, for the EFF at the previous local elections. And I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to let him be a councillor before me. I know him too well. Nothing bad about him, but I'm just saying, it means that I'm sleeping on the contribution that I should be making for my community. And these are the things that I call out a lot. Our academics sleeping on the responsibilities of the communities. We've got universities, VETS, UJ, all these things. They're graduating all these doctors, professionals in all of the fields. But when you go elokishini, our professionals, once they get their top jobs, that's where they go and drink expensive bottles and take advantage of girls whose fathers did not have top jobs, and who are unable to protect them from the lifestyle that is becoming more and more prominent, And those are the things that I want to challenge. Like, we need to stop this thing of, I buy my Mercedes-Benz, I live in Sandton in an apartment, and then on the weekends I take my Mercedes-Benz to be washed by kids at Lokshin. That, you're not inspiring them. You're showing off. You know what I mean? And you're taking advantage of the fact that a Mercedes-Benz is impressive to them over there. And when you're in Sandton, there's Lamborghinis and all these other things flowing. There's girls who don't even have a matric, just have pretty faces driving around in Uruses. And when as an actuary, you can't even afford that, So the competition is very tough out here. And they're going over to the low income earning areas and trying to compete in that space, but they're actually just destroying the society, destroying the values of the society, destroying, our sisters and daughters. And you don't see that. That is why these big corporations are going to take advantage of ilogishi. That's why, you know what I mean? That's the same attitude. So the same attitude that they condemn from these big corporations when they try and shut down the small businesses in Malokshin is the same attitude that they need to remember when they go there and, buy expensive liquor. I mean, in Soweto, why would you be buying liquor for any bottle for more than a monthly DSTV subscription? And not to say DSTV is more important than liquor, but I'm just saying it's like, that's quite a lot. Out of the line items that you have in your groceries and your monthly bills, alcohol shouldn't be that much. It's an unaffordable lifestyle, and there's so much more that should be invested in. We invest so much in alcohol. Alcohol companies rule this country. Every single newspaper needs to have alcohol brands advertising it for it to survive, unless it's got government GCIS communications to give out. So fortunately, for you guys, GCIS is one of the biggest advertisers in the Sunday world. Our sporting teams, all of them are alcohol based. Then you wonder why our soccer players, as soon as they get their first big salaries, they die in car accidents. Rugby teams, alcohol is everything. Music, alcohol is everything. And then you wonder why kids are dying in numbers in places like Enyobeni Tavern and stuff like that. That's what we're promoting. You're a 23-year-old rapper. The first big campaign you get is
So you feel like alcohol is the problem?
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. The reason why I've been able to get so far in the industry that I'm in is because I don't drink. Everyone is drunk. Everyone is busy partying. And I'm watching all these drunkards and I'm thinking, damn it, I'm going straight to the money. While you guys are drunk and partying and losing your minds. You know what I mean? Like, I know how to keep my head level. I'm not abused by alcohol. There's artists that will not perform if they don't get their alcohol.
Writers.
I will not perform. Imagine that. Imagine that. So, like, for my personal belief, I've worked with people who demand alcohol. One thing that I was encouraged by my former wife is that she had no alcohol in her rider. No one's allowed to drink. We're at work, right? And I thought that was a very good discipline. Only tea, rooibos tea, in her rider. Yes, because we had to work. And obviously, no sugar. And you can't drink cold drinks if you're going to be singing, right? So, alcohol, like, its effect is very pernicious in our society. There's so many other things, but we're liquor slaves, and it's as an entire country.
Don't you think people drink to cope from whatever they go through?
No, but the thing is this, is that it's not an effective coping mechanism, and why aren't we investing in giving people effective coping mechanisms? Look at me, I've gone through so many challenges. You think I, like someone else going through what I've gone through in the past 4 years, 5 years, wouldn't say, hey, I deserve a drink. I need a drink. You know what I mean? After spending a weekend in a holding cell for drinking and driving, what's the first thing you do? Hey, I need a drink. Like, you know what I mean?
How do you, I'm curious to know, how do you cope then, with whatever you're going through?
I'm mentally strong. I was trained since a kid. I'm mentally strong. I don't need coping mechanisms. I can cope. The mind is a powerful tool. God designed it. You understand? It's a very powerful tool. It's a tool that has taken people from the surface of the earth to the moon and brought them back safe and sound. It's very formidable, So, if you read books, you get to peer into the mind of someone else and follow their thought process and see the realm of possibility. So I read books as a kid, and I've read about people who've gone through much more difficult things, and I'm a young person, so like my parents have gone through worse things than me. Their parents have gone through worse, and they were able to survive, bring us into this world and thrive. So, I can't be mad that someone tweeted something at me, but I can just switch off my phone. You know what I mean? I can't be, I can't allow my mind to disintegrate, So yeah, the coping mechanisms are there. And that's what therapy is for as well. When you go to therapy, is to give you the tools to survive within your own mind, But now therapy is a hustle. So therapists are just, they just want to know your business. And they have you coming in there and it's medical aid. So they just abuse that medical aid. They know, okay, it's fine. This person, I'll bill 3,000 a month from their medical aid. And it's very easy to identify as a victim. So a lot of people just give into that and then say, oh, I'm having a mental health crisis, or I'm depressed, and a whole number of things. But yeah, mental strength. You need to be determined. Like you just need to be like, yo, I'm not gonna let my mind, you know, um, get the better of me. Yeah.
Okay. And then lastly,
Lastly,
yeah, what with him, what would you like to say to everyone that is currently standing by you and believes you? What words do you have to
yeah.
say
Well,
to
I would never let them down. They know why they're standing by me, especially my family. You know, yeah, that's it. You know,
especially your family? What about your fans?
I've got people that support me, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't call them fans. You
that's
know what I
why I
mean?
said
There's,
fans.
yeah, they're just smart people who agree that someone needs to speak truth. You know what I mean? Someone needs to be sensible. You know, and they just feel like I'm capable of being that someone. So that's why they support me. You know,
You don't believe in the cancel culture.
I'm uncancelable. They didn't. I'm not made by any institution. Well, what are you gonna take from me? My Nike sponsorship. What are you gonna take from me, bro?
I don't
You
know.
understand? Like you can't make my parents stop loving me. I'm uncancelable, dude. I've got my family. You know, like,
So cancel culture doesn't apply to you.
it doesn't apply to me. Unfortunately, for those that want to try cancel me, I'm uncancelable. You know, you know what I mean? And yeah, and like you are forgiven, you know, for trying.
No, it's okay. But anyways, we wish you all the best
Thank
in
you.
your
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
in your case, and hopefully, everything works out in your favor.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you to all the women that supported me.
Yeah,
The
the
comments is-
woman, yes.
Yeah,
Like
'cause you
it's
guys-
very interesting
surprising.
to see women supporting a man. Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Am I not a nice, likable guy? Like, you know, like
Like
I've never
honestly,
had women problems. I'm sorry, guys.
no,
Like,
but
I've
honestly,
never...
Nota on Twitter and Nhlamulo here are two different people.
Really?
Yes.
That's what they imagine. But I'm the same. I'm the same.
Right.
It's just that when I say it in face to face, people laugh. When I say it on Twitter, they're like, "How could he?" Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning into our episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you on the next one.